We speak our truths, we shout it out loud, yeah. We speak our truths, we shout it out loud, yeah. We speak our truths, we shout it out loud. Memeza.
I beheld a poem. I beheld a poem. She was not read, she was said. Nay, she was not said, she was bled from the painfully slit wrists of her divine parentage. Two rivers flowing to my enraptured ears, a Zambezi to my left, a Limpopo to my right, of blood which somewhere along its heavenly path metamorphosed into sweetest honey. She beckoned unto me, invited herself onto me, and I into her. An intercourse of unseen bodies, a terrific tangle of amazing alliterations, a constant throbbing, thrusting rhythm of repetition, 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 repetition. I embraced her with totality. Despite her imperfections, each stumble and stutter another bump in the cellulite of the hips of reality and fantasy. Life from death. I died from a single deftly placed punch line. A delightful death from which she awoke me with a violent quake. Awake, my love, for the time of climax has come. And as I reassemble the scattered pieces of myself, I reopen my weary eyes to see. She left just as abruptly as she arrived. I am saddened, but I do not cry, for somehow I know that I will see her again, because she left not with a goodbye, but with an almost whispered, the end.
Oh my God.
Dang it!
This part deserves a round of applause, man. Like, oh my God, man.
Thank you.
So welcome to another episode of Voice Connoisseur. I'm your host, Doms Moya, with
your co-host, Valentine Makoni.
Yeah, so right here we have Ballistic the Majestic. I hope I pronounced it right.
It's Bilious the Majestic.
Oh my God!
A lot of people make that exact mistake. They say Ballistic.
And
I'm like, actually, that sounds like a dope name.
Maybe you should change your name.
But yeah,
it's like how people like usually, instead of saying black, they say six lakh.
Exactly. It's like, it is what it is.
So, our guest is a multi-disciplined artist.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm gonna let him tell us about himself.
Okay, my name's Bilious the Majestic, and as you said, I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I do a lot of things. I'm a poet, as you already heard, but I'm also a musician. I sing and I rap, I produce. I'm also into visual arts. I do photography. I'm also starting to go into filmmaking a little bit. But yeah, I have a lot of things that are on my plate, but you know, it's like the main focuses right now for me are music and poetry.
Wow, yeah, music and poetry. That's really interesting. Yeah. Do you ever like combine the two? Like, have you because I think the whole idea of soundtracking poems is really, really dope. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I have actually. But more, I've kept the two sort of separate. But like the crossover is really, I'm currently working on a project right now, where I'm going to incorporate poetic breaks within the music. And have it backed by music and everything. So yeah, that's dope.
Really dope. So like, there's a piece that you did at the start.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Okay. That poem is called "I Beheld a Poem." It's a poem about poetry itself.
Wow. That's some meta stuff. That's some meta stuff.
Yeah, I suppose. Basically, the story behind this poem, it's the first poem I wrote when I started taking poetry seriously, basically. Because for me, poetry has always been in the background. I mean, being a musician, it's always in the background of everything that you do, as well as I was in love with literature when I was in high school, so poetry was all over the place. I wrote some, but I never really thought of myself as a poet. Okay. Until the one time where I went to one particular poetry slam where there were just so many amazing poets there. And so the story is sort of like chronicling one particular poem that I experienced that, like, you know, sort of pushed me into the whole, oh, okay, maybe I should take this seriously.
Wait, but yeah, based on that, the poem is very much inspired by the female form.
Yes.
Was it a female poet who made that poem? No names.
No names necessarily.
No names.
It was a female poet, yes, and there was a level of attraction that might have bled into the poem itself. Confession. I'm going to be upfront because that's how the creative process went.
Yeah, for sure.
So that went into it, but it was also like for me, a perfect metaphor for like an art form that you fall in love with, you know.
Oh, wow.
It's like the interplay between an artist and their art form is like the interplay between two lovers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I see it for myself.
And I think that's really dope, man.
Really dope.
Thank you.
So now, like, in terms of, like, I'm just gonna go a distance away from poetry. Like, tell us about your music and.
Okay, yeah. This year has been slow. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. But I did release the latest track that I have released. I released a while back in April. It's called Fly. And this track is about freedom, basically. And it's a part of the project that I'm currently working on. I can't give too many details, but it's a concept project.
Come on, man. No exclusives. Like, I want this way. I want this way. I need the exclusives, man. I need the exclusives.
It's literally a voice connoisseur hip-hop show.
Basically.
You know?
So this is the hip-hop episode. This is the hip-hop episode. What genre do you do of music?
Yeah, I do hip hop. Although, you know, I try to mix it up as much as possible with regards to my inspirations. So on the project, you're gonna hear some poem inspirations.
Oh, wow.
You're gonna hear amapiano. You're gonna hear jazz. You're gonna hear a lot of different inspiration, even Kwela music.
Oh, wow.
You know, the stuff with the with the flutes. Exactly. So I try to diversify my influences as much as possible, but the main focus is sort of like hip hop and soul, you know, because I also sing on the project and all of that. So it's soul, R&B, hip hop with
Really
different
dope.
influences.
These cats be talented out here, man.
They
Oh my
might be
God.
talented. Yo, but you know, like I've always watched Sway in the Morning.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Sway in the Morning.
Okay. I'm scared.
Like, this is already a Sway in the Morning intro happening right now.
Alright.
Yeah, we want something. We want something on that level, man.
If people go come into the booth and they claim they do hip hop,
Yes.
we want to separate the pretenders from the MCs.
Okay, I see.
Set the hyena free.
Set the hyena free. Can we have some hip hop bars, man? Can we have some hip hop bars?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna hit this a cappella. Alright. I met a girl and her name was Life. Hot as fire, cold as ice. Such a mental case, slapped me in the face. Then she gave me some great advice. Breathe and smile and just close your eyes. Even when your things don't go right. Just dip your head in the pad and leave the people in the ashy trail of burnt up mics. I put the chisel to the rock. I'm a carving niche. Ay, I'm not staying in the box and jing a chicken piece. Ay, seems like all I hear these days is how it's hard to eat. Hey, especially when you're riding beats, the hunger's not discreet. I met a girl and her name was Death. Heart was just as black as a dress. Always feel like she's round the corner. I might be breathing my final breath. Only thing she helped me realize is how much I should have a lust for life. So when she comes and knocking at my door, at least I can say I've been alive. At least I can say I've seen some shit. Love the people that I've seen it with. Hoped and laughed and rolled and smoked the gas. Cause it could all be over in a flash. It could all be over in a flash. It's so important, had to say it twice. This is more than music, this is life. Take it all in stride, you don't live twice.
Yo!
Oh my God.
This nigga, none of you niggas should ever come into Verse Connoisseur and claim to be MCs without hitting the standard that he just said. We don't want any more status. We don't want any of that stuff, that trap stuff.
I'm
this is the
jealous
real
right
hip
now.
hop, though.
I'm jealous right now.
Nah, I love that, man. I like that.
Oh my God.
I love the flow, especially. Like, yeah, that shit was like.
Thank you, thanks a lot. Yeah. That's a written off of Fly, and it's the type of stuff that you can expect on the project. You know, this is it.
I'm looking forward to hear this project because not a lot of people are making this type of music or writing the way that he's writing.
Yeah, I can see that.
I feel like there's just a lot of cliches these days.
Except yours. Maybe. Is that a sort of way to say maybe Stones and exactly the Majestic are changing the game a little bit.
Because I'm already looking for a collab right here. Like, I need to work with this guy.
After this, there's going to be numbers exchanged.
Business. Here's my number.
Let's do some. Yeah. Where can we get Fly?
It's available. Actually, the easiest way to find it is to go onto my social media platforms. There's a link on my bio on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @TheRealBillius. That's @TheReal BILLIUS.
Okay.
And then my Instagram is @KingBillius, KINGBILLIUS. No spaces, no underscores, nothing. And on those bios, you'll be able to find the link to it. But you can also go onto my SoundCloud, which is where it's at. We passed like 2.5 plays a couple.
Oh wow! Yeah. That's an approximation. That's an approximation. The figures you find there might be different. I'm just saying. If I get 200, I am coming for you. If I get 200, I'm coming for you.
So my SoundCloud is just my artist name, Billius the Majestic, no spaces. BILLIUS the Majestic, no spaces.
Dope.
Wow, sounds really dope. Like I'm really inspired by your work, man. Like,
thank you. Thanks.
I just heard that little piss was enough for me.
It was enough for you to say.
It was enough for me. Like, okay, I need to go and work on my shit.
Going back to the drawing boards.
Yeah.
Although I just want to say, like, Billius likes his king names, man. Like, this man has called himself king. Yes. He calls himself Billius the Majestic.
Yes.
Like, yo, man, that is some hip hop ego. Like, apparently people in hip hop need that ego.
I guess. For me, it's just me being me. I suppose I just have a huge ass ego by myself. I try to check it as often as possible.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
True. So, like, before we wrap up the show and everything, we want another piece from you, brother, man.
Okay.
So can you hit us with one more?
One more piece. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that I'm thinking of right now, it's a bit of a story. It's called Loveless. Right. I look across the table at your smiling face and finally admit to myself I never loved you. My heart breaks to see that look, that naive look of contentment as though all is well with the world, eyes dancing with the flame the vacuum of my heart could never kindle for you. How could you not notice? How could you continue to lavish me with a love I know I don't deserve? A false god elevated on a pedestal built by one, upon a hollow foundation of denial. I thought I could teach myself to love you. I thought if I went through the motions, bought all the magic potions, and whispered the magic words through lips poured to seal the spell with a kiss, that the sleeping beauty of love would awaken to bless this our fairy tale union. But this remains a marriage of convenience. You're beautiful, but that's not it. Kind, caring, selfless, loving, but that just makes it worse. Why? Because you deserve to be loved. But all I can think about is how guilty your perfection makes me feel. Me, not you. Me. Shit.
Yo.
Oh my God.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
It did get heavy.
I felt that, bro. I don't know, man.
I think all the three men in here need to think about their relationships. All the three men here have been told about the trashiness that exists within them and how we need to be loved better.
Maybe y'all too, but I am.
Oh, you're a good lover?
I'm a good lover, man. You could hear it in my music, man.
Yeah, let me just say, I'm not calling anyone out. It's not my intention to make anyone feel. I'm just saying, maybe if you're this type of person, just like think for 2 seconds, like what am I doing right now? Like where am I going? That's what I was trying to do with this poem. But like, the idea behind it was basically like, that first line just popped into my head for absolutely no reason.
And it was not based on a true story.
It was not based on a true story, believe me.
So all the poets say.
True. I kind of like understand.
Okay, because perhaps there may have been some inspiration, some, you know, like that
personal or from other like niggas.
A bit of both. So it's like the scenario that I cooked up in my head was, okay, this man is looking at this person, or rather this person, let me say, because I'm going to try to keep it as gender neutral as possible. This person is looking at the other person across from them and realizing that perhaps they made a mistake when they decided to follow the social convention and like rush themselves into a situation that they perhaps weren't personally prepared for, you know? And a lot of that happens in our society. Like even there's a lot of like arranged marriages and stuff like that comes into mind. But even like people who feel like everything was an option for you. You had a choice in every situation.
And sometimes like your relationships are like arranged by your friends.
Exactly. A lot of the time we have control over our situation, but we feel like we have to go in a certain direction.
Exactly, because your friends will probably going to tell you like, that girl is not the one because she's not on your standard or
not on your level, stuff like that. So it was about sort of like the pressure that this person puts on themselves. You know, the other person is completely unaware of the struggle. It's like a very internal struggle. So it was sort of like an internal monologue for me, you know.
I'll admit I caught all the strays, man. I caught all of the strays. But like I said, sometimes you said it was like pressure that was coming, but it could be like a subtle pressure, because it could be like what you want and what this person wants underlined, and
exactly.
then you just make it happen.
It could be an internal pressure even. It could be an internal pressure where it's like it's not necessarily someone else projecting their
expectations.
Their expectations onto you, but rather you building up an idea of yourself that isn't congruent with how you really are, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, dope. So man, thank you for coming through the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed because I'm inspired right now.
We appreciate you.
I was telling this man this morning I'm looking for inspiration and I found it.
Dope. Thank you so much. I hope you're inspired as much by the poems as by the yellow shirt. But,
y'all can't see this, but I'm wearing the loudest shirt in history. Like I'm surprised the mic isn't picking it up right now.
Nah, that's funny. So thank you, man. So God bless.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Till the next episode from me and my host, Mr. V.
We out.
Yeah. Peace out.
Peace and love.
We speak our truth, we shout it out loud. We speak our truth, we shout it out loud. Yeah. Long as I live, they gon' hear my voice. Long as I live, they gon' hear my voice. Memes are with a place to be. Memes are with a place to be.